Welcome to Escaping Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes that we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week and leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory.
Hello, hello, hello!
Hey. We have missed you!
Oh my god, so much.
I don't think we've sat down to record in almost over 6 months.
Yeah, it's been wild. Like, how do we do this anymore? Like, we did so many episodes before our break that I feel like we should be just know how to do it. But we sat down and I'm like, what is Supernatural? I've forgotten everything up to this point.
Yeah, me too. I was like, when I started to watch this episode, I was like, do I even like this show anymore? I don't know. And then I watched it. I was like, yeah, I do like this show. I don't like this episode, but I love this show.
I go through the same thing sometimes. I'm like, did the podcast cure me maybe 50 episodes ago? And do I need to watch Supernatural anymore? And then you sit down and watch it and you're like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I really do. Because I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, I need to tell Amy about this. Oh, I noticed that and I need to tell Amy about this.
It's nice to have someone to discuss it with. It's good. I have missed this. I have.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And just nice to take time out your day and just be like, I'm going to go talk to my good friend, best friend about Supernatural for 2 hours and it's going to be great.
Yeah, and revel in something that you actually enjoy, right?
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so saying that, I guess we're back for season 6. I can't believe I can't believe we got to season 6. So much happened in the last episode, and now it all comes to this. I mean, the Kripke era is over. It's gone.
Yes. Yeah. It certainly is.
Yeah. I'm a bit sad about it,
and me too. I thought because Kripke's era was so short. Well, it was a third of the whole thing. That I was like, well, you kind of get over it, but not really.
No.
as much as we shit on Kripke, we do that a lot.
We do that a lot.
Just having some sort of a plan really does make a difference to where things are going.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm thinking on season 6, and I was thinking that when I was watching this episode, the first episode of season 6, and I'm like, I kind of remember where this is going, and it does feel a bit cobbled together. Yeah.
Yeah. But we get to hobble along the cobbled road.
That's so good. That's such a good segue. I love that. Yeah, we do. So, all right. Episode 1, season 6.
Yes.
It's called Exile on Main Street, and it's written by Sarah Gamble and directed by Phil Segresha. We are, of course, Sarah Gamble is the showrunner now. So
yes,
that's why she's writing the first episode. It makes total sense. I think I understand why they chose her as well. I feel like her episodes in seasons 1 to 5 were really solid. She seems to have a good grasp of the show. I can understand why, working with a team of writers, you would choose someone who'd been there from the beginning and seemed to have a good grasp of the characters as the new showrunner, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, but it has the same, maybe not chilling effect, but some kind of effect that Moffat had on Doctor Who.
Yeah. Whereas
his episodes were good, but his show running was not. I mean, her show running is fine. Yeah. I'm not but it, like I said, they were also limited. I know I'm making excuses and stuff, but it is kind of true that they probably didn't know if they were going to have season after season after season 5. They didn't know when they're just going to be cancelled. So when you have to write a season and not think about the future, sometimes it's just how do we start season 7 now?
I empathize, I think, with people who have to write these network shows who don't know if they're going to get the season, because you really do have to strike the right tone of every season finale has to either be, it has to be good enough that people want to keep watching, if you do get another season. And it also has to be final enough that if you didn't get another season, people would like not immediately go on the internet and like crap all over it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly that.
Yeah.
But I mean, who else would you have chosen, do you think, as a showrunner?
Like Ben Edlund, I feel is an obvious choice too, but I don't know if he like had any interest in show running. But but again, like I don't know, would the same like Moffat experience be in effect? We never saw him show running. Like people would say he would have been, but we don't know, right?
That's true.
So
that's very true.
Yeah, I think I mean, Sarah Gamble's always very prevalent in all the behind the scenes stuff as well. Like she seems to be very heavily involved and also willing to put herself forward. So I think fine. Like you have to have also someone who wants to do it.
That's very true. Yeah.
And we don't know what goes on behind the scenes and stuff, but I feel like just from what we get, it felt like she wanted to do it, which is nice. So you want someone who wants to be there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm in a very forgiving mood today. I don't know if you could tell.
I think this episode has the end of this episode maybe has rubbed off on you a little bit then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Dean forgiving Sam for not coming back earlier.
Does he forgive him? I don't know about that. I don't know.
No, you don't think so? I think so.
Maybe. All right, I'll go with you. I'll go with you on the journey of forgiveness. Why not?
Oh. You really are quite forgiving today.
Exactly. Call me Saint Amy.
Patron saint of wayward souls.
Oh. Yeah.
So yeah, the recap is a lot of flashbacks from Swan Song. I kind of wanted to go back and watch Swan Song before this episode, but I knew that I'd probably ruin this episode if I did because Swan Song was so good.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, it's fine. And it's just like, it's basically the very last scenes of that episode. So when they're in the graveyard, and you have a voiceover of Sam talking about like, there's no coming back for me. If I jump in this hole, you go live your apple pie life. And like, you see that that Dean does that. He goes, at the end of that episode, he goes and sees Lisa, and it's supposed to be a happy ending. And then we come into now.
Yeah.
And Beautiful Loser plays over the montage of Dean's like new life. And it's just like, do you think this is his internal, like, this is the song that is playing in his head, like, this is what I used to do, and now the salt is used for eggs, and the crowbar is used for pulling boards off a wall, and things like that?
It's an interesting one, because they almost treat him in this like a soldier who's come back from the war, right? So I think Dean on some level has some like hunter PTSD. Like it would make sense. He's done a lot of stuff that's truly awful. So maybe when he feels like the feel of a crowbar in his hand, he can't help but make that association. So I think you're right. I think it's showing that he's making that contrast. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Because I didn't really like, the first time I watched this, I didn't really make that association, I don't think. But there is a whole thread through this of like him not having fully left the life behind, right?
Yes, yeah, because he's at the end of this montage, you see the camera pan underneath the bed.
Yeah.
And it's got like a jar of holy water and a shotgun. So really, as much as he tries to, I guess, repress the comparisons, because that's what he's basically doing.
Yeah.
Through flashbacks, it never really leaves you. And why would it, really? Why would that ever, like, you know what's out there? I mean, Dean even says it, like, he says it about possums, but like, like, just because you've decided to hang up the shotgun doesn't necessarily mean that the things aren't still there. And
I think that's almost like the problem with Supernatural when we do get to the point of them like retiring and stuff, right? You can't let it go. It's all still out there. Unless they eliminated like every monster, it's hard to just let it go. Or
they've made some sort of deal with like every creature that's out there, which obviously they could never do.
It's so there is always, I think that's always there looming over them. Like this never ends because there's always something else, right? And I think that's also a theme of Supernatural. And it's not a very hopeful one. It's for them, and I think it links into this episode quite nicely. I mean, other things I have to say about this montage is, first of all, terrible gun safety. They have a child in the house and he's keeping a gun under his bed where anyone can get it. And I also thought the choice of the song was really interesting. The fact that it's about like being a loser. Mm-hmm. Because I guess if this is Dean's mind, in his mind, like, he did lose. This is his runner-up prize, right? Ben and Lisa are just a stand-in for his life with Sam, that he, because he lost him. There's no winning for Dean unless Sam survives. So yeah, this is his runner-up life, which is a bit sad for him because it's also exactly what he wants, but it's also second best, I think.
I don't think this is what he wants. I really don't. Like, so rewatching this episode, so a little bit of behind the scenes on this one. We've actually recorded this episode before.
Yeah.
But it was a long, long time ago. So we decided to rewatch the episode and restart season 6. And I didn't pick up on this the first time, but like, so rewatching it again from rewatching it.
Yeah.
And knowing the ending of the Winchesters, I'm like, even in heaven, he couldn't rest.
Yeah.
Like, even in heaven, he needed to hunt. So I don't think... I feel like Dean gave up on this dream after Cassie.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And after seeing Sam have to kill Maddie.
Yeah.
I think just seeing those, like, traumatic endings for relationships... he realized that, like, actually maybe not, like, this might not actually be worth it.
Wait, this is a really interesting point, like, into the sort of core of Dean's character then, because throughout Supernatural, like, even to the final season, he's like, oh, I want to retire. Can you imagine us on a beach somewhere? Like, it'd be nice to have that apple pie life. So do you think that deep down that's all a lie, that he kind of can't admit to himself that he doesn't want that life? He does just enjoy hunting.
I think I think he just enjoys hunting.
Yeah.
But I don't think he necessarily enjoys the, like, danger to his family part of hunting.
Or is it, because I'm having this thought as we're recording, that he can't allow himself to enjoy a family without hunting because he doesn't know how, right? Because Dean's whole life, like, any kind of approval and stuff he got from John was all to do with hunting and how well he was protecting Sam. So it's hard to then leave that life and find, like, love outside of it if you've never experienced that before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. And then especially with Mary coming back as well.
Yeah.
And also giving up the idea of having a family because she goes straight back into hunting. So it's just like, well, if he's gone back in time to see Mary at 18, wanting not to be in the life, then, 10 years later, 12 years later, I can't remember how long it takes to get there. You see her come back and she's not the mother that he thought she was. Yeah.
Like, and he still only kind of gains her approval again through being a hunter, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so messed up. Yeah. What's interesting, and then I guess it gives another layer to this episode, is that Dean is confronted with family in this episode who are also hunters, that he's also trying to prove himself to through his prowess of hunting. Like, there's no end to this. It's like, it's still right.
I guess that's the problem with being a legacy.
Yeah, it's the whole problem. Like, you got so much of your, like, baggage from, like, all of your line of family or whatever just weighing down on you, expecting you to be a certain way, and it's like, how do you get out? If you don't know any different, like, how do you get out of that cycle? So it's why it kind of makes me, I'm going on for a tangent here as well. It kind of why it makes me so angry as well when we do get to Jack and you see how badly Dean treats him. But it's also kind of, it's what he knows. But what we wanted to see more of was him breaking the cycle, right?
Especially since you do see it in this episode, because you see that it again. I'm skipped like a lot of what happens in this montage, so we'll just go back and refer to it. But like, so you see him with Ben, and he's showing Ben how at a young age how to fix an engine of his car, and like being fatherly. And again, skipping ahead in this episode a little bit, you see Lisa admiring Dean for being a role model.
Yeah.
So he knows how to be. But again, because of what happens in this season, maybe he doesn't want to form. We're being psychoanalyzing, but whatever. This is what we do here. Maybe that's why he's so bad with Jack, is because he's been through it before with Sam, with Ben, and it never works out. So he's like, well, if it hasn't worked out, fuck it. Like, I don't care.
Tough love. Tough love is the way. Yeah. I'm so interested to get to those seasons where all this behind us, actually. So, yeah. I mean, I guess I'll save it for them. But I think this episode is an interesting study of Dean Winchester and how he sees himself and how other people see him. But I also feel like it could have been a bit deeper. I don't know. Like, I like this episode, but there not much happens.
Yeah. It doesn't really... I feel like we say this every single time with like these episodes. It feels like it could have been 2.
Yeah. I guess this one kind of is. Like, I'll give them that. It kind of is, because how this episode ends, it does lead into the next one and you kind of get a resolution to this. So it's kind of, I say, 1.5. See, this is where we differ, because I've watched the next episode and you haven't, right? Yeah,
that's right.
This never happens usually, but you know, it's fine. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it as a surprise. But okay, all right. So we'll go into it. We've had the montage. The montage is actually really nicely done. I thought it was great, and it's a good setup for the new episode, new season. So we see Dean, and he's in a bar with a friend called Sid, and to say this has been a whole year he's been with Ben and Lisa, so he's made friends and connections outside of them too, because like Dean is actually a pretty friendly guy. Like, he makes friends pretty easily.
Yeah, definitely.
They're doing like almost like a middle-aged man talk, as like, oh, the things I could have done with my life. Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm now in the suburbs. Like, how boring I am. It's quite nice. And Sid asks him about like his like how he traveled around before, and you can see Dean. It's weird how this hasn't come up before, but I can always believe it, because like some guys just don't talk about themselves. Like, they'll do whatever it takes to not do that. So I can believe that it took a year to be like, oh hey, what did you do for 15 years?
Yeah, right.
They have to get to that level of comfort with each other. And Dean's like, yeah, you know, I drove around a lot, lived on the road. When Sid asks him what he did, he's like,
took crap jobs that nobody else wanted.
Like?
Like pest control.
Really?
I feel like Dean was pretty pleased about that lie. It's like, 'cause it's close enough to the truth. Like,
what else would you call a ghost?
Exactly, it is a pest. And he says like, oh yeah, you know, you get to work with a partner, you get to help people.
You have no idea what's in some people's walls. You could eat them alive.
So proud.
So they're like, oh yeah, you know, you're kind of respectable. And he's like, yeah, I guess I am. It's kind of scary. And he looks a bit like pleased with himself about that too. But then a waitress comes up who, like, this sounds so bad. She's dressed very stereotypically, like she's bad news. I don't know what, I can't explain that outfit. It's like, I guess like tank top and mini skirt, but like that is also just a regular outfit. I don't know.
I guess it's like the hair and just like the attitude.
The sweat, yeah. I think she's got tattoos,
The
right?
swagger, yeah.
So
Yeah.
she touches Dean's arm and gives him like, he's just sort of like, thanks. And Sid makes a comment about like how Dean's always getting like women to give him like attention and stuff, and he holds up that he got her phone number, but then also makes the point of ripping it up in front of Sid, like, no, I am settled, showing that he's a changed man. So,
I am happily married, but not married yet.
yeah, we're cohabiting.
Yes.
So they leave. I did notice outside this bar, there's like a crazy light that's like super, super bright.
See, okay, going back to watch this after watching it one time.
Yeah.
Obviously, okay, spoiler for the episode. Fine. If you haven't watched it, tough. You can tell that this is now Jin affected because of how bright and sunny it is. Because even in the montage, it's not like his day-to-day is not quite as muted as it was.
Yeah.
But it's definitely less like Technicolor than it is at this moment.
That's a good point, actually. The lighting does change. Yeah. We've always said before, like, lighting changes are quite symbolic and supernatural. So to get that kind of shift, and you're right, and it's even more prevalent when he's like walking about in like daytime. It's super saturated. Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. And I wanted to consciously look out for that, because obviously first time you watch it,
yeah,
like I'd forgotten what the episode was and like forgot that he gets affected by the Jinn so early in the episode. So we had spoken before when we recorded before that like we were kind of disappointed at how bright it is. Yeah. Well, the reason why it's bright is because it's the Jinn dream.
Yeah.
Or Jinn influence. It's not even a dream.
I think, yeah, I noticed it this time too as well. It definitely does change. I mean, because it doesn't look like supernatural. Most of this episode doesn't look like supernatural, really, until you get to like bits where they are a bit more dark and dingy. But yeah, so he walks out the bar and he hears a woman scream, so he goes to investigate. Like, Dean's wearing this little like brown jacket. He looks very... I don't know if you've seen Big Sky. Like, no. It's a TV series that Jensen Ackles is in. He plays like a cop called Bo, and this is a jacket that he would wear.
I think his whole outfit is what Bo would wear, to be honest. I've seen like screenshots and like clips of the series, but never a whole episode.
It's not very Dean, is what I'm saying. Like, he can tell he's done a shift in his wardrobe, or Lisa has had an influence on him.
Absolutely.
So he goes and looks around this place. Like, there's abandoned building, or it has some renovation work done or whatever, and it's very horror story. Like, there's plastic sheets everywhere.
I want to say one thing. Yeah. I love the fact that in one of the times he walks past a wall, it's like a false wall.
Yeah.
And he's just talked about like seeing like what if you didn't know what was in your walls, and like it's an empty wall that you can see through.
I get it. That's so good. I feel like there are a lot of little jokes in this, actually. Like, just in the periphery. So he sees like claw marks and some blood, and a pigeon scares him, and then he decides the pigeon's enough, like he's gonna leave. He's clearly like freaking himself out. Back at home, he's on like a police scanner and calling up, pretending to be a cop, you know, as he used to, asking about any missing people, but there aren't any. And then Lisa comes down in her like nightgown, and he pretends to be on the phone to someone else, so he's like hiding it from her. And he said, "Oh, I'm just setting up a poker game with Sid," and she's like, "It's 11:30." Like, she knows.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is the first time he's done this, which I think is why he doesn't question it very much, that this is happening. Yeah. I think he's had this happen a few times where he's thought there is something going on like in the neighborhood, and has tried to investigate it, and it's turned out to be nothing. I just have a hunch. Like, I think it's this, and there's a conversation they have when he's in the garage. I'm like, oh, this isn't the first time he's done something like this. Yeah.
Yeah. It also makes me wonder about, like, obviously with Supernatural, you only get to ever see the town that they're in have the issue that they need to hunt, right? But obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious. But obviously, like, there must be other things happening around the country,
Uh-huh.
but is it like an everyday thing, or is it just like, you know, that it's this one haunted house, so the like that actually has all the ghosts and things in it in this house, so that like really these things are coming up, but it's really just like it really is coincidence, and this town basically has nothing supernatural in it.
Yeah, because I feel like because they often refer to like spikes in supernatural like activity, don't they? Like there's more demons, or there in this case there's more monsters. So I feel like it's supposed to be a phenomenon in this universe that's like relatively rare, right? That's why they're having to like crisscross across the country to follow cases, and we don't know how much time is between them, or like how many they get in a year or whatever.
Right.
So there must be places where, it's just like, it's fine.
Right, it's just like local legend. Like, kind of like that body swap episode, which I can't remember the name of.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like they must know some of these, like, safe areas, because Dean knew that Lisa was going to move, right, after that whole thing. Like, the kids were all right. Like, she was going to move. Maybe he gave her some advice or something like, oh, this place hasn't really seen any supernatural activity. Like, why don't you try moving there?
Yeah, very true. I mean, that you would hope that's what they...
So once he has this conversation with Lisa, he goes to bed, and then it's the next day, like there's a time skip, and it is like super saturated as Dean's walking around the neighborhood for some reason. Like, it doesn't say why he is, he just is.
Yeah. Well, I guess if this thing is playing on your mind, you're gonna he's probably doing like a mini hunt, like it's his day off and got nothing else to do, so he's gonna have a quick look around the neighborhood, make sure there's nothing going on.
Good point. Yeah, it makes sense. So he sees more claw marks, and he like zeroes in on this shed. So he goes, and he's got his gun out and everything, and he opens the door, and it's like this tiny rat dog. I don't mind tiny dogs. They're just very yippy. I'm not a big fan. I like a big dog. If you're gonna get a dog, get a big dog. But yeah, he like runs off, and I think Sid's walking past, and he's like,
Dean, is that a gun?
It's nice to see like an outsider's point of view. Like, this guy he knows is just walking around, and he's like,
No, yeah. Well, I got a permit for it. What? Shoot the Glickman's dog?
so yeah, he follows up with like, I was in pest control. They carry rabies, so I shoot the possums. And
I love his like little impression that he does. Like, he brings up both hands like it's some sort of assault rifle, and it's just like, I'm doing the action you can't see, but
I like Sid, bless him, because his friend is like, okay, but then like just looks a bit worried. Dean finds, a pile of sulfur conveniently. And he like runs off. He's like, I gotta go, and Sid's trying to go in after him. I did realize when he found the sulfur that what he thinks he's hunting is a hellhound.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think so, because it's one of Dean's biggest fears, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's why it was a dog.
it makes sense. And then the dog, yeah. So he runs back to his garage and unveils the Impala, which has been sitting in storage like under a dust sheet. And he gets to the trunk and does his whole thing of like packing weapons. And Lisa disturbs him as he's doing so. And she's like, did you almost shoot like a dog? Because...
So she doesn't interrupt him though. Because he's looking out the window trying to see for someone coming.
Yes, that's right.
Because he's at the toolbox, picking up a hammer. So he is still trying to conceal that there's something going on.
Yeah.
So he's trying to listen out for her, and then that's when she shows up, he's like, "Yep, need a hammer."
You're completely right. He's constantly like looking over his shoulder for her. Yes, exactly. But Lisa does clock that he's being shifty, because she's just like, what's going on? Like, come on. And does act like he's just like, look, I have a feeling, which is not technically true, right? Because he's seen evidence of like claw marks and stuff, so he knows it's something. It's not just a feeling.
No,
or at least he thinks he knows something. And the sulfur as well. Like, that's a clear physical evidence anyway. So he's still not telling her the whole truth. So he's like, oh yeah, I thought it was something, but I think I got worked up over nothing. Like, but you know, like,
Why don't you and Ben go to the movies, hit the Cheesecake Factory, hang out with the teeming masses, and I'll do one last sweep, just to be 100%.
like he's trying not to panic her, but like, I feel like Lisa isn't like she's not gonna freak out. I don't know. I think she's very I guess like pragmatic. I think she'd be like, right, what do we have to do? Rather than like, oh my God.
Yeah, and like, and maybe that's from the standpoint of like that episode, she was very pragmatic in that too.
Yeah.
Like, she had obviously she freaked out because her son got taken.
Yeah,
like,
that's
fair. But even then, I feel like she was very much like in control of her like facilities.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's not one to have a complete panic. So I don't know. I think part of it, and again this goes to some later conversations they have, is like Dean's trying to hide it because he doesn't want to scare her away from him. If that makes sense. Yeah. It's all the like, I'm not worthy of her love kind of thing that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, she leaves after Dean's like, careful's my middle name. Well, that's not true. That's 100% not true.
No. At this moment when he said that, I wanted Lisa to turn around and be like, no, you're right. No, it's not your middle name. Your middle name is...
Yeah, come on, tell us!
Mary.
It's Mary.
Give us a bone.
Definitely Mary. So Lisa leaves and then the light starts crackling, like demon-y. And I watched this episode twice and this still scared me. It's just the way they do the camera because like he's looking around and then suddenly he turns around and it's Azazel. Like, he's just there.
Just there.
Just saying, hi, Dean. I'm so glad.
Hate it.
I'm so glad they got the actor back for this. Like, it's so good.
Me too. Yeah.
And it needed to be, like, of all the things they faced, it needed to be Azazel because he fits in so nicely with all of Dean's trauma, I think.
Yeah, I think that of all of the trauma that he's faced in Supernatural so far, Yellow Eyes is the biggest. Because if you think about it, it's basically 3 seasons worth of trauma.
Yeah. And he's the catalyst.
If not longer.
For everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good one. Like, I'm really glad they got this actor back. Like, they must have had some phone calls like, do you want to come? It's really important that you do. Like, I don't know how else they would have done it. I guess just got someone else with yellow eyes, but it wouldn't have been the same.
It wouldn't have been. It could have either been him or Tessa. I feel like it couldn't have been anybody else.
Or Alistair.
Well, Alistair with yellow eyes.
Oh, that would have been good, but like, nah, I don't know. It's just Alistair, because he's this whole the whole hell thing, but then it doesn't fit in with the whole family thing that Dean's going through at the moment. Like Azazel with, he's the one. Like,
he is the one.
It's interesting because like knowing now that this is a dream, like Dean's logic this all out, like how he could return, because he's like,
look what the apocalypse shook loose.
When Dean's like, you can't be back, it can't be you, he says,
the big daddy brought your pal Cash back, right? So why not me? Add a little spice to all that sugar.
I love that line.
This should have been an indicator that Azazel wasn't real, because there's no reason for him to know who Cass is.
That's so true. Or call him Cass.
True. Yeah. He probably would have called him like an angel or Castiel.
Yeah, I think so too. So Dean shoots him with the shotgun that he's holding. And obviously it doesn't affect Azazel because, he's not real. So he starts just taunting him and like beating the crap out of Dean. Saying things like, you got a great little life here, pretty lady, real understanding, hell of a kid. How do you keep your lawn so green? He's like, you've never been what I call brainy, but you really think that you get to keep all this? You had to know we were coming for you sometime, pal.
You can't outrun your past.
And that refrain is kind of repeated through this episode of you can't outrun your past. And again, we touched on it at the beginning. It's kind of, a theme of Supernatural, really. Like alongside all the other ones that we've talked about.
I mean, it's quite prevalent when it's a prevalent one because of the way Supernatural's written. Like, they didn't have to write it this way.
You're right, actually.
But again, probably because, again, the actor's like coming back. So how do you bring back people without reliving the past?
It's cyclical. You have to bring, yeah, exactly. So Azazel starts strangling Dean against the Impala, and just as he's about to like lose it, Sam comes and stabs him in the chest with a syringe. Wild.
Do you think? No, I was gonna say, because in later in the episode when he gets like the double dose of gin juice or whatever it is, gin poison, I guess.
Gin juice. I like gin juice. I like it because it doesn't actually technically work, but it does, you know?
Yeah. You know, he gets like kind of affected very like in his face. Yeah. So obviously at this point with Azazel choking him and beating him up, this is the poison starting to kill him. Do you think Lisa left so quickly because she could see like he's probably like sweating, like, you know, when you get like the flu, you kind of go a bit pale and like kind of sickly. Like, do you think she sort of saw that and was like, whatever he's going through, I should probably listen to him just to calm him down, kind of thing?
Yeah, maybe. Like, you don't know how he was acting to like outside people because Sid looked pretty like, "Are you okay, man?" I mean, he was pulling a gun, but like also he was a bit, even like walking up to him, I think he was like, "Are you okay?" So, yeah, I think you're right. He probably like sweaty and gross. Yeah. And then obviously his eyes rolling back when he was getting strangled is the same thing that happens when the gin overtakes you, right? The gin juice. I love that.
So we come back and it's all kind of blurry and we see Sam sitting, but because it's Dean's point of view, he's like not correctly in the frame. So he sits up and Sam's upright and he's like,
I was expecting I don't know, a hug, some holy water in the face, something.
So I'm dead. This is heaven.
How sad is that? That like him waking up in a garage is heaven.
You're so right. But like, it's not far from the truth.
It's not far off at all. It really would be. Oh well. Poor Dean. Yeah. He needs some more life experiences, as we learned from that episode in season whatever. Oh. I can't remember any of them where they meet the gardener. So he says, "Yellow eyes killed me," and now it sounds like yellow eyes. That's who you saw or what you saw. And so Sam goes into explaining that you were poisoned and that, you know, the crazy crap you've been seeing is not real. And Dean's like, "So are you real?" Which is a fair question.
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Like, you've just been told everything you've been seeing is not real. And so this is when I, like, again, you could see the difference because I know it's nighttime, so obviously they have to make it a bit darker. But even still, like, the general saturation is a little bit lower as well. So it feels not quite like Supernatural, but it feels more like a supernatural world. Or universe. So Sam goes through his, you know, the routine that I feel like this is the first time that all of these things are like sequenced together.
I think so.
So like cutting the arm, drinking the salt water and holy water and all of that. So yeah, he goes through all of that to prove he's not real. To prove he's real. Even.
I'm a real boy.
Yeah. No strings on me. And then Dean gives him a hug and it's all very yay.
I will say, as Sam is going through all this testing, like, Dean is going through it. Like, there's his face in the camera. He's like got his hand over like the bottom of his jaw. Like, his eyes are all red. Like, he's about to start crying. Like, he is going through it. Yeah, he's going through it.
He's got all the emotions for sure. Yeah, definitely. And so, you know, Dean's stuttering through, like, you know, I thought you were gone. And then, you know, how the hell are you here? And all this. And Sam doesn't have an explanation. He just knows that he's back. And he's like, was it God or is it Cass? Does Cass know anything about it? And Sam says, you know, you tell me. I've been trying to call him, but he hasn't answered my prayers. I don't even know where he is. He explains that one minute he was down there, and then the next he was in the rain, lying on the field alone.
It's kind of hard to go looking for whatever saved you when you got no leads. But I looked. Believe me, I looked. For weeks.
I will say,
Yeah.
Only because we know this is soulless Sam, his face, I don't know what Jared does to his face, but you can just tell it's not quite all there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like you immediately know something is off. I do wonder, like, I would love to be a little fly on the wall to the internet forums when this episode came out, and it's like, what has happened to Jared Padalecki's acting? Because, like, Sam's really flat now, and he's not really paying attention, and this is really out of character for him to not go save those people, like, later on. Like, I wonder if he's getting, like, loads of crap in the forums. But, like, looking back on it now, knowing the story, you're like, this is a brilliant acting choice. Well done, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, like, especially, like, you know, saying he looked and looked for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, if this was regular Sam,
Yeah.
well, regular Sam would have probably gone to Dean straight away. There would have been no, like, waiting around. But, like, I don't feel like he would have added in that detail.
No.
Of that it's been weeks. Like, he would have, like, kind of eased him into the fact that he's been around for a year, not within, like, the first 5 minutes in that first conversation.
I agree. He's like dropping a pretty big bombshell there. And like, I don't know. There's a few hints in this episode, I think, as to that Sam's not right.
Oh yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
And this whole exchange is one of them, right? Because where's Sam's teary face? Yeah.
And also the fact that he says to Dean, I was expecting a hug.
Yeah.
Like, there's no time when they've come back from their, like, separation that they haven't both immediately embraced each other.
Yeah. So it, like, because I'm still a bit like, on the soulless thing, I don't really get it. Like, is it that they don't feel emotions, or is it just the lack of morality? I'm not sure. It's very like ambivalent as to what it actually means, but like, it's almost looking to Dean for, like, emotional cues, right? To see how to act.
Emotional cues and, like, moral compass.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. But then again, to be fair, Sam went to hell. So a lot of his differences when he comes back, I'm sure that Dean is chalking it up to the fact that he's been in hell. For goodness knows how long he was in hell. Dean knows what that is like.
Exactly. And also, you're not only just in hell, but you're in a cage with Lucifer and Michael.
Super hell, you might say.
Some might even describe it as super hell. Yeah.
But yeah. So I think a lot of that as well, I reckon that was also probably part of fan speculation. It's like, oh, Sam's different because he's been changed by his experiences in hell, which is true in a way, but also not.
Yeah. I know Sam and Dean are two different people and would experience this differently. Because, like, when Dean comes back from hell, he's obviously not the same either. But I do feel like it's not quite is like a, I don't know, actually.
Thing is as well,
I'm thinking of season 4.
Yeah, I feel like no, Dean is different though. He comes back and he's like, you know, hell, I'll live my life now. He's like, yeah. He goes sort of to the extreme of his character, right? I feel. But I mean, I feel like knowing Dean as a character too, like Sam being kind of cold to him as well. I bet internally he's like, oh man, he blames me for him going to hell.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it's all my fault.
Like,
yeah.
The time that it took for me to get out of hell is all my fault.
Yeah,
like
I should have looked harder because there was clearing away. Exactly. Like all that like internal hatred of it, you know, like it's all there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Dean, like he goes through all the emotions and obviously lands on anger because it's Dean. because he finds out that Sam's been around for about a year.
What, did you lose the ability to send a freaking text message?
You know, this HBO, that friggin' would not be frigging. And Sam says something interesting here. He says, you know, you finally had what you wanted. And he said, no, I wanted my brother alive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course that's what he wanted. He didn't want, like, yes, he loves his life, like he loves Lisa and like the life that he's made in the past year. But like, no.
Like I said to the
he wanted his brother.
It's a consolation prize, right? Yeah, for saving the world. Fine.
Exactly. There's a lot of projection in this episode. Because Sam goes on to say, you know, you wanted a family. You have for a long time, maybe the whole time. I know you.
You only gave it up because of the way we lived. But you had something and you were building something. Had I shown up, Dean, you would have just run off.
You know, after everything, I felt like you deserved a regular life. No. Like I said at the beginning, I don't think Dean wants this anymore.
It's so tough. And also, that's what Dean wants for Sam. Dean wants Sam to have a regular life. He's always tried to give him a regular life to, like, the extent of his abilities to do so. Because he never wanted to go get Sam when John went missing, really. And when they were kids, he was always trying to protect him from the other stuff that was going on. But
the thing is, Sam showed the interest of wanting a normal life.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to go to college ever since he knew that that's a thing you could do. Yeah. So it's just like...
I flip back and forth on this, I have to say. Like, and maybe it'll become clearer as we go through the seasons. It's like... Because I know we had that whole conversation at the beginning, like, does Dean want a regular life and to quit hunting or not? I do feel like it flips. And I think it's the same for Sam, that it flits between them. Yeah. Like, sometimes he's like, yeah, this is the best, like, we're helping people. And then it's like, they're in the middle of apocalypse. They're like, this is awful. I just wish we could quit and have a regular life. Like any job, right? Yeah.
True. But true.
I just wonder at what point, because I don't think we settled on a point that they've decided what they want. I think that's it. I think neither of them know what they want out of their lives. They're still pretty young people, like, guys in this.
True.
So yeah,
and even like the ending of season 15, it was so poorly done that you can't really put anything on it, really. Like, when Sam has his family, like, you can't really extrapolate anything from that. Like, yeah, he had a kid, named him Dean, but like, and his son then becomes a hunter. So he also doesn't really leave the life, I don't think. No.
And were they like Ben and Lisa, like a consolation prize for losing his brother, right? Like, if Dean had never died, then he probably wouldn't have ever lived that life. True. Which is part of the reason why people point to that as being a good ending. It's like Dean had to die so Sam could get on with his life, which is awful. I can't agree with that take.
No, and also, it wasn't immediate. Like, he continued, from my recollection of the episode, and like, again, it was poorly done, so you can't really get a scope of time after Dean dies. But it does feel like he stays in the bunker and stays as a hunter for at least a few months.
Yeah.
Like, he tries to continue as it was.
I think...
And then goes off and, I don't know, does something else.
I think this is it. Like, they come up after crisis after crisis, right? So they never really get to settle down. And when they finally do, they're not sure what to do with it. Not having Sam there meant that Dean's kind of fallback was going to Ben and Lisa, right? And then in season 15, where like all the apocalypse, they finally won, right? And what they immediately do is settle back into old habits because, like I said, they don't really know how to do anything else. So they don't know to try. But I feel like if they'd had more time, like if Dean hadn't died, I think they eventually would have quit. That's my opinion. Both of them. I don't know. I will flip on this.
Yeah. And it's just so hard to know, really, because like I'll tell you what my thought was in 519. I thought when Jack took over, he killed all of the monsters. So I was like, well, where are they going to go? And then suddenly there's monsters. I was like, well, Jack is stupid then, because obviously, like, you've seen how hunting destroyed your family, right? And you're allowing it to continue. Or is it just like this one last well, obviously, no, it's not one last monster, because his son has the demon tattoo. So it's just like...
It just continues. It
monsters
just
still
continues.
exist.
Where's the end? Like, what happened?
It's not a good ending to the show. I don't like the fact that it continues. I think it's stupid. We could have had no monsters ever, and when they come to that realization is when they're like, oh, okay, we can actually quit now because nothing's going to come back for us.
I just feel like it's anything. This is me being cynical today. My forgiveness has gone. Is that they leave it kind of open-ended because, like, there's always a chance it could come back, so let's just keep you waiting. You know, spend your monies. I don't know. I'm being cynical, but you know what I mean. I don't know. Anyway,
let's get back to this. I caused that tangent. Let me go. Let's veer back into the episode. So Dean asks what he's been up to, and he says he's been hunting, and he's been hunting with. Dean finds this like strange that he's been hunting alone. So I don't know. I've been with people, not solo, and that confuses Dean, which I think is weird because I feel like Sam has shown in the past that he is actually okay with linking up with other hunters, but projection on Dean's part on that, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I guess it's more like without me.
Yeah, exactly. And Sam says, "Oh, they're more like family." So he takes them into the next room over and is introduced to the Campbell family, which is Gwen, Mark, and Christian. And so when I first watched this, like the first rewatch, I understood this whole situation that these three cousins or relatives were also brought back from the dead. I don't know how I got that that impression. But because I guess Dean says, I thought all Mum's relatives were gone, and why didn't we know about you? And then Samuel comes out and says because they didn't know about you, basically, like you didn't know about each other. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't catch that line. Maybe
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. They aren't resurrected. Also, they are just some guys.
They were just they were other I guess that's the problem, right? There's Bobby, who knows basically all hunters everywhere, and he didn't know about these three Campbells that were actually related to you.
Fine. Like the thing is, they knew this would be a problem. That's why they put in the line about Dean saying, "I thought everyone was dead." And they're like, "No, it's fine. Like we're aware that you will remember that, but we're telling you that it's okay."
Yeah. And so, it's fine that they were just other hunters out there that weren't part of the hunter network that Bobby has made.
Yeah. Okay.
Fine. Samuel then asks us to speak to Sam and Dean alone, and so the three leave. Because he says there are lots of resurrections in your face today, so that's why I was like, again, like the cousins have come back. Like this, that's 5 people from the dead. That was where my mind went, but no. So Samuel says, so you're guessing when whatever pulled Sam up pulled me down, whatever it is, we're both part of it, like part of the big plan. Yeah. But they just don't know who it is. They have no leads, no nothing. So they've just been like hunting things for the past year, trying to find what had caused resurrections not across the board, but in these two. Yeah. So Sam has been saying that, to leave Dean alone to live his life. Because Samuel probably from the beginning was like, let's go get your brother. I know your brother. Like, he's a good hunter. Yeah. Like, we can use him and whatever. And they explained how they got to Dean was because Sam had already been hit with the poison and they figured that they would go after Dean next. I'm guessing the Jinn saw something in Sam.
No,
I guess
they're after both of them.
The Jinn know.
Yeah. They know who they are.
Exactly. Yeah. But these Jinn look different. You know, they don't have all the the markings are not always there. They can make them disappear and look like human, and they only need to touch you. They don't need to like stab you and like keep you strung up anymore. To get you hallucinating your worst nightmares. And it's revealed that Samuel is a way better hunter than John, which I don't doubt.
We've established that John's not a very good hunter. Like over this, but
Yes.
Dean holds him in high regard, but
definitely.
no.
Yeah.
Well, I know a few things. Stick around, I'll show you tricks your daddy never even dreamed of.
It's like, well, yeah, because John like picked it up as he went along.
Yeah, to be fair to John, he wasn't a legacy hunter. Like he did just do it on the fly. Like it's okay.
Yeah. He didn't have access to the Men of Letters just yet.
I do feel like Dean takes this kind of personally though, because he spends the rest of the episode trying to prove that he's a really good hunter, and it's almost like he's defending John because he's like, "Look how good a hunter my dad made me." Yeah.
Exactly. Like these are the methods that my dad showed me. Like my dad's is that whole playground thing of like, well, my dad's the CEO of Nintendo, and well, my dad's the CEO of Microsoft, and I get all of this stuff, like, kind of thing. Like
the thing is though, like the things he suggests are like, I'll come back to it. It's also like basic. And also like the one plan is use Dean as bait. That's the only plan.
That's always
it's
been
always
the
only plan. Just use Dean as bait.
Exactly. So they figured that they were going to come for Dean next, and Dean then remembers that Ben and Lisa are like out there, like by themselves. And Samuel says, "Don't worry, I already have someone watching over the house." And Dean's like, "No, we need to go to my house right now." And he runs into the house and yelling, "Lisa, Ben, Lisa." Ben?
I get. Like, when I watched this, I was like, why is he so worried? Like, he knows they sent them. But then I remembered that at the time that he sent them, he was dosed up on gin poison, so he doesn't know whether he sent them or not.
Oh, you are right. I did not think about that.
Literally, while I was reading this now, I was like, yeah, he doesn't know what was real or what was not during those, like, 24 hours or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What also made me laugh is that he didn't make a comment about Sam's car yet.
He was too panicked to say, why are you driving this girl car or whatever he was going to say about it.
Yeah. Bitchmobile. I don't think that's what he calls it, but
that's probably in his mind. Like, when we're out of danger, I'm slamming this car. So, yeah, Dean rings Lisa and he's like, panic. And then they come through the front door. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we were at the movies. Like you knew we were." So he had actually had that conversation with her, I presume. We still don't know though, because he said to go to Cheesecake Factory, so it still could have been his subconscious talking to Lisa, knowing that she was going out that night. So
that's true.
We don't. Yeah, we don't know if that conversation in the garage actually happened, and I don't know. We're ever going to find out. It's fine. So he hugs her and
go upstairs and pack a bag.
Where are we going?
I'm taking us to a friend's house. Go.
It's okay. Go on up. I'll be there in a sec.
And then, like, Ben turns around and, like, Sam's just, like, lurking. Like a big old giant...
like lurch.
Yeah. And Lisa's like, "Sam!" Because she remembers him, obviously. And then we cut to Bobby's house just immediately. And Bobby opens the door and just, like, he sees Dean, Lisa, and Ben. Like, he doesn't see Sam yet. And he's like, "Damn it. Like, why are you here?" He said, "If you're here, something's wrong." Dean introduces Lisa and Ben. And although he's pleased to see them, he's also, like, not pleased to see them. Because he knows what's happening.
Casa's su casa. Maybe you want to just go upstairs. TV's broken, but there's plenty of Reader's Digest. Just don't touch the decor, okay? Assume it's all loaded.
So Lisa and Ben kind of exit upstairs, and Dean's like about to introduce Sam, and Sam's just like, "Hey," and Bobby's like, "Sam," and Dean's like, "Son of a bitch, he knew, god damn it."
The look he gives them both is just like, he throws as if he like throws up his hands like, "Fuck's sake."
Yeah, exactly, right. So He's like, how long have you known? And Bobby's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, and I do it again. Like daring him to say something.
Again, projection in this episode.
Yeah. But I think Bobby's always wanted like to be out, but he's had no ever, like reason to either. Because, and he's saying to him like, this is such a conversation between like a dad and his son as well. I love Bobby for this. Like, you know, you were doing good. You got out. Like, you walked away from the life, and I was so damn grateful. Like, you got no idea. Bobby says it like he slept better at night because Dean got out of the life, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And although Dean says, do you know any clue what walking away meant for me?
Yeah. A woman and a kid and not getting your guts ripped out at age 30. That's what it meant.
No, it was just at age 27 with a hellhound.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, however old it was.
And, you know, he's like, I went to them because you asked me to. And Bobby says, good. And Dean's like, good, you know, why? Who? Good for who? Because I showed up and I was like out of my mind with grief. And like, why did they even let me in? I drank and I have nightmares and I'm awful. I'm terrible. Like, I was obsessed with finding Sam until I gave up, you know?
You promised you'd leave it alone.
Of course I didn't leave it alone. Sue me.
So he's always been looking. I think it's probably just been off and on, and it probably was less and less over time.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure for the first like month, maybe even 3 months, it was like bourbon and books.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
that's a name of a good bookshop.
That is
Bourbon and books.
I would shop there. And Bobby's like, well, you know, look, I get it wasn't easy, but that's the life. It's as close to happiness as I've ever seen a hunter get. It ain't like I wanted to lie to you, son, but you were out. And I'm with Bobby on this. Like, yeah. Because he knows as soon as Dean found out Sam was back, he'd be back in.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just wants to protect him. But he must have also known that it was going to be temporary, so...
Exactly. And it's just like, who are Bobby and Sam to dictate what makes Dean happy?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, that is somewhat unacceptable to me.
No.
Like,
yeah, I get you.
Like, it's not... I'm just trying to think. Had they had said, like, not to go to Lisa, right? And he just, like, give up your hunt or, like, go... Just be a hunter by yourself. Like, would he have been upset that, like, for a year it was hidden from him that Sam was hunting somewhere else where Dean was hunting somewhere else? He'd probably be more pissed, actually.
Yeah, he would be more annoyed, I think, if he was out hunting and they had kept this from him, because there's actually no reason to keep that from him, really, right?
Yeah.
There's nobody to protect.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't sure where I was going with that.
That's
yeah.
okay. I mean, the thing is as well, though, like, if Sam had come back, I wonder if there's a part of Dean that could have convinced him, like, why do we need to go looking for what brought you back? You know, why can't we just live our lives? You know, maybe they could have both been happy.
Yeah.
But instead, Sam got straight back into hunting and now has dragged Dean back into it.
Yeah.
I think that's the bit that annoys me about it. I mean, Sam can't help it because he has no soul. But
do you think because Sam is soulless and like doesn't really feel remorse, doesn't really have a moral compass, kind of leaning on the more negative feelings, that this is a bit of revenge for coming to get him at Stanford?
It might even be unconscious, but I think it's like he can definitely reason that out as like, it's not that bad because Dean did this to me. Right. Well, he's soulless. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Had he had a soul, he probably would have been like, it has to be completely last resort. Like, this plan would have still worked because the djinn didn't kill Sam. This plan would have worked without Dean.
And like, also, if they knew that a djinn was coming after Dean, there was also no need for Sam or Samuel to be there. They've got 3 other hunters who have tenuous ties to Dean that could have done this and could have been sent. They could have done a ruse that they were sent by Bobby or whatever. Like, there wasn't actually any need to drag Dean back into this.
Nope.
No. So
it could have been that one-off hunt, like in the beginning of season 5
So
for Sam. But it really is, I feel like, Sam's revenge of like, well, you took away my normal life, I'm going to take away yours.
I mean, it's possible. And also, like, whatever they're doing with their plan, because there's something going on with, like, Sam and Samuel, right? Maybe this was the right time to bring Dean in. So it's, like, almost a ruse in that respect, too. I don't know. I don't enjoy soulless Sam. I never know his motivations. I struggle with those kinds of characters, you know, where they're just kind of out for themselves. It's hard, I think, to understand them, but they are interesting. So yeah, they have a big fight. Dean ends it on an angry note of like, do I look out to you? And it cuts to the staircase in Bobby's house, and Dean and Lisa like meet there and sit together. And I thought it was just a really sweet moment. I really like this scene. It does feel like two adults having a conversation, which I feel like is often missing from Dean's relationships.
Yep, because she's not reactionary.
I think that's it. Like, she really seems to calm him down rather than just getting mad about stuff, which often happens with other people in his life, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it helps that Dean...
It's because they're all men.
Because they're all men. Yeah, you're kind of right there. So Dean asks how Ben's doing, and she's like, oh, you know, he's okay, implying, I guess, he's like a tough kid. He has been kidnapped before, so I'm sure he's fine. Like, he's tough, he's resilient. Oh, bless him.
Oh, no.
So, and Dean's like, yeah, you know, I know Bobby's a little tough, but, you know, he's going to look after you guys, and me and Sam are going to leave, and when Lisa says for how long, like, Dean's face is like, well, this is it, you know?
Yeah.
He knows that there's no coming back from it. Like, at least that's what he thinks at this point. Like, once he leaves with Sam in the car, that's it. Like, he can't come back.
Yep.
And he apologizes, you know, because he said those things were coming from me, like I should have known.
How could you know a monster was going to show up?
I should have known. I should have known that if I stayed with you that something would come, because something always does. You can't outrun your past.
And Lisa sort of says, like, you know, you're saying goodbye. Oh no. I had a sudden 15, like 18 feel. It's okay. I'm overcome. It's like Dean says that to Cass, isn't he? This is goodbye. Like, right, like, yeah. It's okay, it's fine. Everyone's fine. Everyone's fine, guys.
Squash it down, Amy. We've just said that men are emotional.
So Dean's like, no, I'm not saying goodbye. I'm saying sorry for everything. And she's like, you're so dumb. You're an idiot. She's like, you know, it wasn't perfect, but we were together, you know? And although Dean said he was a wreck, she's like, well, yeah, you just saved the world. Like, I didn't expect you to be perfect, kind of thing. She goes, you're amazing with Ben. Like, I've always wanted him to have a role model, like a dad.
So you're saying it's all bad, Dean? Because it was the best year of my life.
How bad was her life? I mean, obviously, it's not literal, it's figurative. Like, it probably has been, this has just been a very long honeymoon period of their life together.
I mean, yeah, but like, also, like, maybe it was. Because, like, she said she had quite a tough, like, before she had Ben, she seemed like she was sort of in and out of relationships and whatever, and, like, who knows what it was like. So, and then, I don't know, maybe it was. Maybe she's being sincere here, but, like, it's nice to hear anyway.
Maybe.
It also made me super sad because I remembered what happens to Ben and Lisa. And it's, like, awful.
Yes, I do. But because she doesn't remember anything about Dean, it doesn't, like, I think this is actually the best outcome for her. Like, of all of the characters in Supernatural, the fact that they get completely erased from the history of Dean keeps them the safest.
It does, but, like, also, like, she lost what she's now saying is the best year of her life.
But if you've lost it and can't remember that it is, then you've never really lost it. Right?
Yeah, fine.
Because, like, she won't even remember meeting Dean and, like, meeting this amazing person. I mean, that is really sad. It's really tragic that you miss out on, like, possibly the best relationship you probably could have had in your life. But you don't miss it because you didn't know it happened.
Yeah, like you're right, but it still makes me mad. Like I don't know, the romance story enjoyer in me makes it sad. Like I think Lisa could have been really good for Dean. I'm actually like
I think so
feel
too.
like I understand why people ship this. Like I get it. I understand.
The thing is, they actually had a lot to play with. Like I know there were elements of like Dean had to die, whatever, at the end. He didn't have to because, again, Jack is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So he could have easily reversed what Cass does.
Yeah, that's true.
And made Lisa remember. The thing is, she's moved on.
She's
with her
moved
life
on
too.
though, so that would have been fair to her. Her whole life can't revolve around this guy that doesn't exist in her mind until that. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if she was married?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like, she's married. She's had like a couple more kids with a new guy. Like, yeah.
But like, if she hadn't lost her memory, I'm saying this, if she hadn't lost her memories, and if Sam had died instead of Dean in the supernatural, Lisa could have been the blurry wife. Like, she had the capacity to be so. I think. Like, totally could have done that.
So this is where I wish they brought Lisa back later on in Supernatural, because I feel like had they brought her back, or like, you know, brought her back maybe season 8, season 9, or when this whole concept of like Men of Letters and having this ability to have more members in the hunting community, because right now the idea of training other hunters isn't a thing. Like, there's no reason to bring her into the fold. And I maybe again they're idealistic, so Dean probably wouldn't want to bring Ben into hunting.
Not, I don't think. Yeah.
So, but then again, if it was a little bit later and he's more like a Claire kind of character.
I don't know.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Like, again, she could have been blurry wife for Dean.
Yeah, right, yeah, I feel it. I don't know. The thing is, like, if you look at this from a Destiel lens, they cut off all avenues of any other relationship for Dean in this series. Like, all other avenues are gone.
Yeah.
And Lisa is like the kind of the last one, right? And then they cut her off. And they say, no relationships for you, Dean. There are no other meaningful relationships. No. Yeah, it's very strange to me.
And then you end up with a ship, which makes sense, but also like, because there's no one else.
There's no one else.
Like, Sam gets somebody else.
You got like 5 guys in your cast, you know, but not even that many. Anyway. So, yeah, Dean turns up to see the Campbells and he's like, what's the plan? And their plan is to like just sit around. I don't even know. Like, they're just like, yeah, let's get some stuff. How have they survived this long?
Well, so here's the thing. I don't know if the Campbells' hunting style is the same as the Winchester's hunting style. I'm going to guess not. Like, the idea of using people as bait is probably really abhorrent to them.
You would hope so. It's a bad thing to do.
It's a horrible thing to do. So I'm wondering if it, like, you know, they've always just waited for... They've got more of a patient hunting style.
They're also not great, though, because one guy's already dead. Right, that guy who was sitting outside, that like Ben at Lisa's house, he's already dead. So whatever they're doing is not working.
True,
from their body count.
Very, very true.
And like Christian's really dismissive of Dean. He's like, leave it to the professionals. So he like bigs himself up and he's like, well, I've got a plan. I have a Winchester special, essentially. Bait.
Pig and a poke.
Pig and a poke. Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Winchester special.
I love that. So they're going to go sit in Dean's house and wait for Jin to come to them because, you know, they want to kill Dean, so fine. So we cut to them poking around Dean's house, because it is his house as well.
Yeah.
And then kind of making fun of him for his domestic life. Like there's like magazines out and pictures of him and Lisa doing nice things together, and then Sam picks out his golf clubs, which is quite funny because Dean Smith played golf in It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
Yes, he
And
did.
it's funnier now because Jensen Ackles' old age is also now playing lots of golf.
It's just an old man sport.
It is an old man sport. I've never played golf. I don't know how fun it is, but it feels like an old man sport. So in the kitchen, Samuel's also looking around, and the relationship between Samuel and Dean is quite interesting because I feel like Dean is expecting Samuel to treat him like John treated him.
Yes, I think so too. Because he's a patriarch of the family.
Yeah.
So the only one that he's ever had was John, who was awful.
Exactly. And he has to remember, like, this guy's related to John. They don't, like he didn't particularly like John either. Let's be real. No. So, Dean's like, oh, come on, call me a soccer mum or whatever. And Samuel's like, well, I don't know what that means. And also, like, no, I get it, like, wanting a normal life. Because he did kind of have a normal life alongside hunting. Like, he had a wife and a child. And yes, they were all hunting together,
Yep.
but he kind of had the best of both worlds kind of thing.
Yeah, and he had a central location. Like, he had a house. Like, granted, it wasn't decorated in the way that this house is. It was traps from top to bottom. But he had a stability there.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, Dean's house is still trapped. He has that devil's trap under the carpet, and like
True.
he has made, preparations. So it's not dissimilar.
Your mom wanted a normal life, too. You remind me of her, actually.
And we always say that Dean is Mary coded. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, he is his mother. That's why his middle name is definitely Mary. That is cat. I feel it in my bones.
Again, another perfect moment to be like, well, you have her name. Because obviously Sam would have told him.
He literally comes from like the matriarchal line in their family because his name is Dean, right? And he's named after Deanna. So, like, fine, whatever. So, and he says like his attitude like reminds him of Mary, which is also true actually. Like when Mary does come back, like her and Dean are pretty similar. Yeah,
they are.
He's like, has your brother been telling you what we're dealing with? And he's like, no, not really. And essentially what's been happening is like there's a massive rise in monster sightings, but like acting unusually, like these jinn who can appear as humans. There's werewolves coming out on the half moon, nocturnals attacking in broad daylight, like things they've never seen before, and it's like making him uneasy. And Samuel doesn't really have a theory, but he knows that it's all hands on deck. And he makes the point of saying, like,
You had ancestors hacking the heads off vamps on the Mayflower. What I'm saying is that we're your blood, and we're out there dying, trying to get in front of whatever this is. Maybe not the best time for golf.
like, you should be coming back to hunting.
So there's also a very small little line that he says. He's exsanguinated 10-year-olds. He is also laying on a layer of guilt like Sam does.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Because, like, Ben is probably about 10 years old.
Yeah, that's true. Like, this could be your
So
kid.
it's like,
yeah.
This could be, yeah, exactly. So it's just like, not only is it in your blood, in your bloodline, your descendancy, your legacy, but hey, it could happen. Like, the bad things could happen to your son now. Like, you need to come back with us and protect the world.
It's a different...
Like, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's a different type of manipulation. Like, oh yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, but like, really, this is the right choice to make. Exactly. Oh, I kind of hate that kind of manipulation. Where you think someone has talked you into it without you realizing that it's happened. Like, it's hard. And Samuel knows what he's doing as well. I just feel it in his demeanor.
Yes. Samuel's not a good guy.
No.
Even when we met him in the past, he wasn't understanding of Mary's need to like not be a hunter anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing that he's doing to Dean right now, which is probably why he makes the comparison of like, well, the attitude's the same, so I know how to deal with this. I just manipulate the crap out of it.
You're right. Oh, that's bad. Yeah. I mean, we know Samuel's not a good guy, but like, that is particularly... Look, Mary and Dean could have bonded over this. Just saying, like, we both had to deal with crap from your dad in both directions. Like,
yeah.
So Dean goes outside to check on Mark, who's like watching the gin, because he says like, "Are they there?" And he's like, "Yeah, they're waiting in the trees." So then Dean goes back inside and he's like, "They're just waiting outside." So basically, like, everyone needs to leave so they actually come into the house, and then we could attack them and like kill them or whatever. So that's their plan. They're gonna do that, and cool if they get attacked, which they don't do, by the way.
No.
Or at least Dean doesn't. So yeah, everybody leaves. One thing I didn't mention before, which I thought was really interesting, is that during a lot of their like talking here, like Dean has his shirt tucked in, which is so weird for me.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Yeah, I think it's so funny that you noticed it too. Like, it's a completely different style. Like, he's completely changed in a year, which I think is fair. I think you can change significantly in a year, but you can also undo that change.
And he does. By the end of this, no tucked in shirt. Yeah. And you would think...
How many times do you think how many times Lisa like smacked him on the stomach with like, tuck the shirt in?
Yeah. Also, like, I feel like fighting wise, does it make more sense to have a shirt tucked or untucked? Like, if it's untucked, it can like, people can pull on it. But if it's tucked in, do you have less range of movement? I don't know. I've never fought with or without a shirt, so...
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they don't.
I guess. I just thought it was like, they just really like looking like grunge kids from the 90s.
It could also be a better way to hide your
That's
weaponry.
true.
Like,
you're right. No, that's why he wears his shirt tucked in, is to show that he's not carrying any weapons. Hey, so he has changed. That's actually, yeah, pretty decent. And that's why he was wearing his jacket out when he was carrying his gun. To hide. Yeah, okay, that makes total sense. Solved. So in the kitchen, Sam and Dean are having a conversation, and Sam's asking if he's okay, and Dean's like, he's having a freak out. He's not having a good day. He's like, this is crazy. Like, you're coming back, Grandpa. Like, that we don't know who did it. And he's like, you know, what do they want? Why? What? Who? How? When?
Yeah.
And
all the important
questions.
Exactly.
And then he asks Sam,
Do you remember it?
What?
The cage.
Yeah.
You want it?
No.
and Dean does try. He's like, you know, well, there's no one else literally who would understand this situation apart from me. Like, who else?
This is Dean trying to relate to old Sam, because Sam would want to talk about it. He would want to talk about his experiences that he's had. That he, like, because we know that there is hero worship from Sam to Dean, right? He's always looked up to Dean. So now that they have this other way to relate to one another, he would definitely want to sit there and talk about how awful it was in hell.
And it's so bad, actually. It makes me more mad now that they kept this from him for a whole year, because Dean is the only person who knows how bad it is, right? So he could conjure up all the scenarios that Sam could be going through and feel just like constant guilt and anger about it. Like, they really should have told him. It's bad.
I'm back. I get to breathe fresh air, have a beer, hunt with my family, see you again. So why exactly would I want to think about hell?
Dean starts to say something, but then he looks out the window and sees that his neighbour Sid and his wife are being attacked by Jin. So we don't get to... Like, it's like the you know, the phone call, but this time it's monsters.
Yep. That is a good use of an interruption.
I hope not, exactly. I mean, the thing is, like, I guess Sam can't really be mad at... Other way around. I think Dean can't really be mad at Sam for not wanting to talk about hell, because he did exactly the same thing when he came back, and like Sam got mad at him for it then. So like, it's
yeah, but again, Sam is the talker of the two.
You think he'd want to?
He's the one who wants to, like, I don't know. I do feel like Sam would want to talk about it, and that's why.
Sorry,
Dean tried to.
Yeah, I think you're right that he's trying to look for like the old Sam, because he is so different. Like, it is so clear that he's different.
So as Dean runs out the room, Sam shouts after him that, they're already dead and you know it. And he's like, well, this is happening because of me. And as Dean rushes into the room and runs over to the wife, who we don't know the name of, Sid's wife. And then he turns over Sid and his eyes have rolled back and he's clearly dead. And then a fight ensues, basically. And it's 2 against 1. So the waitress from earlier. And in the other house, where Sam is just one of the just one of them. So there's 3 in total, as we know.
I'm presuming the Jinn are siblings because they talk about Sam and Dean killing their father. So I think they're all related.
So yeah, they end up ultimately. Well, yeah. So Dean ultimately loses the fight. It gets held back by one of the Jinn, and the waitress says, "Since you made it through the last trip, here's a big fat double dose."
Bad news, it'll kill you. The good news, at least you'll go fast. That's for our father, you son of a bitch.
I don't think I paid attention to the double dose thing properly before, because she grabs his face and you see the tattoos start to extend down her arm and the black veins. It's then the other guy who then also grabs his face that gets a double dose, and for some reason that made me laugh so much. I was just like, that's such a weird place to grab someone's face. What? Why wouldn't he grab his throat, or one grabs the throat, one grabs the face, but they're literally on top of each other.
It makes him do a little kissy face.
Yeah, exactly. What's interesting about this Jinn dream, though, is that it's not Technicolor. Yeah. It is very you can tell it's a dream, and maybe it's because it is so much faster than regular Jinn dream, because it's all whoa, 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 whoa,
yeah,
right?
I know exactly what you mean. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
You know what I mean? It's all shaky and stuff. And he starts to hallucinate Lisa and Ben coming back into their house, and Ben saying, I couldn't sleep at that house, and they just had to come home. And then he sees Azazel in the door as they walk in, and Azazel grabs Ben, and it's weird. You're looking at it, and then they're suddenly in the bedroom, Ben's bedroom.
Yeah, because Dean's in Ben's bed, right?
Yeah,
looking up at the starry ceiling that he has in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they have appeared. It is very dream logic. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you're in one place and then suddenly you're somewhere else. So Azazel has Ben, and Lisa is now pinned on the wall and being slowly dragged up the wall. And he's yelling out to them to stay away from them. And Azazel's cut his wrist and is feeding the blood to Ben, very much repeating the whole trauma of his childhood, seeing a mother die in the way that his mother died, and his a son being treated the way his brother was treated, and failing basically all over again. So his past literally coming back in his face at this moment, and which he could not run away from.
Yeah. I had an interesting take on this. So I don't think Dean's biggest nightmare is actually this happening to Ben and Lisa. I mean, I think he is scared of something happening to them. Mm-hmm. But I think because they're choosing this precise method, I think part of this is his fear of becoming John.
Oh.
Because both of those people are stand-ins for... This is what happened to John, right? His wife / Lisa, who he's cohabited with, and John's son / Ben is kind of Dean's son. Sam is also kind of Dean's son. It kind of merges things together. And then, so that would make John in this dream scenario of who he's losing and what it how they're related to him. So I think part of it is some kind of deeper psyche of his worry that if something happened to Ben and Lisa, it would push him further to being like John.
And at this point, he knows he doesn't want to be like John anymore.
Yes, definitely. I think that's a definite for this. But then I guess I almost wonder, if he stays and something comes to them, would he also end up like John? you know, and being that harsh to Ben, and like how would he be as a father? I think there's a lot in this. And I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but I think because they chose this scenario of Azazel, like it really links into that situation.
Yeah, and so it's kind of interesting because the last time we did this recording, you'd actually made the kind of opposite of like, well, why is Lisa Mary in this scenario? Like, it feels weird that it would be Mary, but I guess you've come around to the fact that we're not looking at it as as Dean looking at this scenario literally. It's figurative, as in becoming John Winchester. This is the catalyst that turned John into John.
And I think this is also why he chooses to stay at the end of the episode, because I sometimes feel like he thinks that John gave up on family life too easily, right? After Mary had died, was there any real need to go after the demon? Like, did he have to do that? I mean, yes, but no.
No, absolutely
is there
not.
any need for for Dean at the end of this episode to go after what resurrected Sam? Like, no, not really. They've dealt with the immediate issue. So why can't he have a go at family life and like try and not become John? I don't know. I may be like just thinking too much about it.
And also, like, you've had two people, like the two people that you trust the most in your life, turn around and say, well, we told you to do this and we kept you out of this because we wanted this for you. And then now it's like, well, okay, we've come back, but now we want you back. It's like, well, you can't turn around and say, well, this is for your good, your own good, and then turn around and be like, nah, actually, we need you back.
No, that doesn't work like that. I think that is a level with that too. It's like, look, I'm out. Like, deal with your own problems. Be a bit selfish, Dean.
Exactly. Yes, finally. Which makes me feel like, you know, the Campbells stick around Dean so that they can draw in the monsters, because clearly for a year he hasn't needed to hunt. Well, yeah, I would say clearly for a year there hasn't been a need to hunt, because they probably would have not chosen that song, Beautiful Loser. And they wouldn't have shown the montage in that way of comparing the lives if he was still hunting.
I agree with you. I don't think he's hunted. I think, like I say, I think he's been paranoid. I think maybe he's had some false starts on hunts and then there hasn't been anything.
Exactly.
And I don't necessarily think that was anyone keeping him safe either. I don't think Soulless Sam would go out of his way to like keep monsters away from Dean. So
he wouldn't have let this happen if that was true.
Because if they really again, I say this, if they really wanted him to have that life, they could have also created like a bubble around him, right? Of like dealing with anything supernatural that propped up, and they haven't. So I don't know.
Exactly. And you know Bobby's keeping tabs on Dean.
Exactly.
For sure. Like having a hunter come through every once in a while and make sure there isn't anything.
Yeah.
That's coming after them. Or if he's not,
I agree.
So yeah, it goes through all of that, like Lisa on the ceiling, Ben drinking the blood.
There's something coming for this one, and you can't stop it.
It's all your fault.
Lisa! Drink it. You'll feel better.
Ben, don't!
Your fault.
Can't stop it.
We then cut back to what's really happening, and like we're seeing Dean like dying, and Samuel and Sam start fighting off the djinn together. And the antidote that Dean had taken over to help Sid and his wife has been crushed, so they have more antidote, and they manage to... So, okay, I actually want to go back a tiny bit. So, Sam kills the djinn that he's fighting.
Yes.
And it's incredibly brutal. Like, he gets the knight, like, one of the golf clubs, and, like, is whacking this guy over the head repeatedly. And, like, I feel like that's supposed to be some sort of statement on who Sam is right now.
Yes.
But we've seen that kind of brutality from Sam before. So I didn't find it was shocking.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that bad until he was down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the repeated hits on the ground, I think, was a little much.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, not really, because, again, we've seen Sam be ruthless.
I think we can see that. The thing is that in some aspects, like soulless Sam is just, it's not that far off from, say, Sam after he lost Dean at Mystery Spot. Like, it's not that far.
That's true. That's very true. He's also not that far off from hopped up on demon blood.
Exactly. So it's not. I think we're supposed to get the vague idea that something is off with Sam, but it's not supposed to give us too many clues. So like, there's a possibility that it could be kind of anything at this point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I agree with you that it was like, whoa, all right there, Sammy.
Yeah, exactly. So Sam and Samuel fight the Jinn. They defeat one of them. He grabs a hold of the lady.
Yeah.
And tells him to go after Dean. So with Sam and Dean out of the way, the other Campbells come in to take this one into the van, and he says, quick, before the boys come back. So I don't think Sam's involved in this plan.
You're right. There are pin clues, though. I know that this is one that I noticed actually on a second rewatch, is that when Dean goes out to talk to the guy who's looking at the Jinn through the telescope, his van is almost like a police van, like it has like a cage in the back, and Dean clocks it, but doesn't say anything. Mm-hmm. So I feel like he is a bit suspicious of them. But you're right, Sam isn't involved in this yet.
No, yeah, I think so.
But he is though, right? Because you haven't watched the next episode. Never mind.
All right, well, I'll find out. So maybe at this point he's not, and then he becomes part of it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so they've defeated all the Jinn, and we go back to Dean's house, and it's just him and Sam. Like, all of the other Campbells have gone now. And Dean asks about them, and he's like, well, I don't know. They've gone back. I'm meeting them at their place. And Sam very casually says, are you coming with me? You know? And Dean says, no, I'm going back for Lisa and Ben. Like, it's quite unexpected. Like, Sam's face registers surprise as much as it can at this point.
The Botox is wearing off.
Yeah, exactly. He's very good. He's very good at keeping his face very neutral, but also showing emotion. Like, I can't explain it. It's
the eyebrows.
It's the eyebrows.
It's the eyebrows on the eyes.
So Sam's like, well, you know, I thought you said. He's like, no, I changed my mind. And Sam's almost trying to convince him now to come with him, which I think plays into our theory that this was the right time to go get Dean to help with whatever they're doing or think they're doing or whatever. Mm-hmm.
I practically shoved you at them.
It's a funny way to put it, but all right.
Kind of like, I couldn't have done this by myself kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not so sure. I mean, you got to consider the fact that you'll be putting them in danger if you go back.
This is not Sam. Like,
this is not Sam.
Not at all. Yep. There's a couple of clues in this conversation that it's not Sam. So Dean's like, well, is it better to leave them alone and leave them in danger? Because, like, everyone knows I lived here, so why wouldn't they come after them anyway? Like, that's actually sound logic. It's happened before with people they've known.
Exactly.
He's like, I've made them vulnerable and I can't undo that, so, like, this is the best option. And Sam, again, kind of, like, using some emotional manipulation. It's like, well, I guess I just wish you were coming.
Yeah, like, kind of kicking dirt, like, oh, I wish you were coming.
And when Dean asks why, Sam just says, don't be so stupid, but he doesn't actually say why.
No.
There's no emotion there. It's not like, because you're my brother and I love you. Like, it's just, you would know, surely.
Yeah, like, of course I want you back with me, like, hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be stupid, like.
But he goes on to explain that the reason he wants Dean there is because, and like we said before, because Sam has no moral compass at the moment. Soulless Sam wants a moral compass, and that's what he's saying to Dean. Like, you didn't hesitate to go help those people, like Sid and his wife, when you saw them.
Mm-hmm. Because you care, and that's who you are. Me, I wouldn't even think to try.
So it's Dean that's confused. He's like, yes, you would. Even in the very last episode, so season 5, when there's like Bobby and Sam are doing something right, and they go and save
they're
these people.
They're being terrorists.
Yeah.
The Croatoan virus is in the vaccine, and they're going to blow up the place where the vaccine is, and some of the Croats already in there.
He literally,
and Sam's.
Yeah, he literally goes out of that way in his episode at the cost of his own possible life to save people, right? Like, that's literally last episode.
That's the thing that inspired Bobby to believe that they had a chance.
Exactly. So yeah, it's not like, this isn't Sam. And like, Sam glosses over it and says like, no, I'm telling you, it's just better with you around, that's all. So Dean gets all mopey and he's like, okay, look, I'm going to give you the Impala. And he like holds out the keys and he's like, she should be hunting, take her. And I think once Sam realizes that Dean's not coming and he like can't manipulate him to coming, he like almost like shuts down because he's like, no, I've got my own car. Yeah. Like, she's set up how I want her. Like, fine.
And again, this should be a massive clue to Dean because, let's be real, Sam's always wanted that car.
Yeah. Where's the banter? There's been no banter between them.
There's been no banter. Like, there hasn't been a bitch or a jerk in this entire episode.
Exactly. What is this? What's the state of affairs? Like, and again, Dean looks confused because he's like, you're passing up the Impala. Like, that is our home.
That is our home.
Offended.
Do you know what's even crazy? Especially if you think of it in the context of the last episode, of that's the thing that was able to make Sam take over from Lucifer. Like, the car saved everybody's lives, stopped the apocalypse. The car stopped the apocalypse. That's the whole point of Chuck's like intro or Chuck's narration in that episode. Yeah. Is to show how important the car is. And Sam's like, nah, I like my other car better, thanks.
Yeah, it's not Sam. It's not Sam. I mean, and like, if it was Sam, he would have walked around that, be like, oh, I'd really like to, but like, I do have a new car. I do really like. Yeah. So Dean walks him out, and so I guess Sam just leaves. They don't hug or anything as they leave. Do they hug? No, they don't. It's cold. No.
It's very cold.
Sam just drives off, and there's like this camera shift downwards to like look at Dean from the floor. I don't know. It was a weird choice. Like, as the car drives off, the camera shifts down. Like, I don't know. I think it was maybe to show that Dean was by himself, but then I thought, like, he's not there because he's gonna have it anyway. Whatever. Someone else in film making tell me why that happened. Maybe it's just a cool shot. So Sam leaves saying it was just good to see you again, Dean, and like drives off, which is like, where's the emotion? This whole episode, I didn't say it throughout, it's a really quiet episode. There's not a lot of background music. There's not a lot of there's some songs at the beginning, and there is a tune used, which we'll talk about in a second, as we didn't talk about at the time. But other than that, there's not a lot of background music. It's a very quiet episode, and then it ends on just like silence. There's nothing more to be said between them, which was really telling.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. And to that point, is it when Samuel comes in that the tune plays?
Yeah, so they play Dean's theme, as we call it, when Samuel Campbell is announced in this episode.
Which I hate. Another father figure gets that bloody thing.
It didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel emotional enough for that music.
Yeah. No.
I don't know. It annoyed me. I think that's as far as I'll go with that.
Me too. I'm looking forward to when Mary comes back to see if they play it then.
Oh, they better freaking do.
That is important. And yeah.
They better. If not, I'm going to put it in myself. I'll re-edit it. Ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah, that's the episode. It's interesting as a season opener. Like, I guess it doesn't really pick up or leave off where you thought it would. There's no cast, which is kind of sad. Like, especially after he, Dean briefly thought he was God in the last episode. Now he's not here at all. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But again, I think his absence is telling because he's mentioned a few times, and I think it's clear they're building up to his reintroduction because, like, where's he been? What's he been doing? Right.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah. And the fact that I was gonna say the fact that he didn't answer Sam's call or prayers.
but we know
just
why.
to remind.
Sorry.
He thinks he's an abomination still. I was just Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't the worst season opener, but it definitely wasn't the best.
No, it wasn't.
Like, there's definitely interesting, like, doing 2 rewatches was helpful because it did bring out, like, more things that I feel like I'd missed quite a lot of, and, like, just really sort of breaking down the character of Dean in this episode is actually quite well done. Like, it feels like it's almost surface level, but then, like, when you really start thinking about it, it's actually pretty deep.
Yeah.
Especially with where it goes. Like, at the beginning, like, had season 6 been it, like we were watching it for the first time, you're not going to get the same reactions that we have talked about.
No, definitely not. Like, you need it on a rewatch, like, knowing everything that's coming and everything, like, where we've been. I think, yeah, it's so interesting. It is very interesting and supernatural how that it retrospectively, like, made stuff good.
Yes.
By adding more to it. But I guess we are harsh on the writers sometimes, but it must have been somewhat intentional.
It has to be. Like, it can.
Like,
but at the same time, actually, I don't know, because the masked vampires are in this season.
Are they?
So yeah, because I caught a glimpse of this episode, like that episode, when I was at the gym one time, and I thought it was 1520, and I got really mad while at the gym, and then it showed Lisa, and I was like, okay, so this is season 6.
Okay, I'm interested to see that because I don't remember. Because obviously, like, Jenny the vampire was from season 1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go with you on this journey. I'm happy.
So I do wonder if, like, season 15, it's clear that they were looking. They must have been looking back at other seasons.
Yeah, I mean, yes, definitely. Like, they definitely did their homework. They just did it wrong.
Yeah, they got the wrong answers.
Yeah, you got the wrong answers to the questions.
You got an F.
Different interpretation.
Go back, try again.
I mean, there's rumor mill is spinning, isn't there? That, like, a supernatural movie because the cars came out storage or something. Did you hear about this rumor? Okay, so
I did hear about the rumor. I thought, because I saw it being like maybe season 16. I didn't know that there was going to be like a movie.
There's no nothing. The only thing that this has come from is that there was a car in a museum and the guy got asked to ship it back because they wanted it for something. But, like, it doesn't necessarily, I guess, have to be for supernatural. Maybe someone else needs a 67 Impala, and as we know, Supernatural used all of them. So
yes,
but then again, to be fair, why does it have to be that car? I mean, you don't have to keep this in. Why does it have to be that car from that museum that was specifically from Supernatural? Because there are also a lot of other Impalas knocking around that do run. So, like, yeah, you know, the rumor mill.
I mean, but the thing is also, if you know that car works, why would you spend the time to try? Like, it's probably path of least resistance to go to this museum to get a car that works versus having to shop around to find a 67 Impala that works.
And, like, people are picking up on, like, the smallest thing, like, of conventions. I think they said, like, one day there may be some more supernatural rather than, like, no, definitely not. Like, there's little things, like a shift in tone, but it's like, guys, it's been nearly 5 years, so
yeah, well, it's coming up to 4. It'll be 4 at the end of this year.
That's right, 4. So, you know, it's fine. Anyway, so I can't remember where I started off with that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else I have to say about this particular episode after having watched it twice. I think, like you said, it's an interesting character study. I think it's worth a rewatch. I think it's definitely worth a rewatch, actually.
Yeah.
As an insight into Dean. I feel like you could write a lot of Lisa Dean fan fiction off the back of this episode too.
Absolutely.
If you were so inclined.
The thing you can tell with the fact that this was written by Sarah Gamble is that the Lisa is a whole person.
That's true. I mean,
like, there's nothing in there that I'm like, well, I mean, she is one-dimensional, but she's one-dimensional in a way that's not like, I'm an accessory to Dean, right?
She's not. She feels like a whole person. Like, she would be okay if he did leave, right?
She wouldn't be happy, but she'd be okay.
She's choosing to be with him. It's not like he's her whole universe, which sometimes happens.
Yeah.
I don't think that this episode passes the Bechdel test, though. I don't think no, because the three women in this episode, though there's 4, Sid's wife counts, 4 women don't ever talk to each other, so they don't have a chance to have a conversation that isn't about a man, which is the test.
And even if, let's say, Gwen and Lisa met, well, of course they're going to talk about Dean because that's their common connection.
Exactly.
So it's
so, you know, it is what it is. But I agree with you. Yes, I do feel like she is a more fully fleshed out character than the yoga teacher that she was previously.
Yeah, exactly.
Her yoga is never mentioned again. I would like to know how Lisa earns money. That's one thing.
I know, that's a nice house. And she's had nice houses.
Right? Yeah. Like, that's not yoga teacher wages, just saying. And she's moved around a lot too, so it's not like she can take all her clientele with her.
But she's probably a trust fund baby.
I think so, yeah. We'll call it that. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Because she clearly didn't need Dean's wages, I don't feel. Like,
no.
And he must be working like cash in hand, because does Dean have a social security number?
Right, not.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's why... No offense to construction workers, they are like one of the most important people in our infrastructure, but oftentimes they are undocumented.
Yeah, and then of course underpaid because people don't pay them correctly. Yeah, you know, it's exactly. So, but what I'm saying is, I would like to know these mundane questions. So, or mundane answers to my mundane questions. How are they earning money? Why does Lisa have such a nice house?
I was going to say it's kind of weird that like they weren't working in this episode, but I do feel like this happened on a weekend because Sid's running like in the middle of the day.
Just a whole weekend. Yeah, I mean they went to the cinema in the evening and stuff. Like, Ben wasn't at school.
And like, so it probably happened on like a Saturday.
How convenient. Like,
right?
My whole life's going to fall apart, but at least it's Friday.
Well, I mean, if you think about like family living in terms of like Dean's sort of situation, he wouldn't necessarily, I don't think he would go out drinking every night anymore because he doesn't need to. He's not living in a motel. He has a comfortable life. So why wouldn't he on a Friday night go out for a beer with a friend?
I agree with you. Yeah, I think it was a weekend too. This whole thing happened in a real bad weekend. And then he's like, oh buddy, it's Monday. I'm going to resume my life. Pretend this never happened. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I think it's good. I think it's worth a rewatch. Yeah, the next episode is 2.5 Men. And so as we alluded to previously, I have watched this episode and Annabelle hasn't. Well, I watched it about 6 months ago. And I don't know if I want to rewatch it. I'll be honest. I don't know whether to. I'm a bit torn because I watched it and it gave me like anxiety dreams for like 3 nights. So I would actually say I don't know what it is. I watch it and maybe see if you feel the same. I probably will. I can't not. I wouldn't make any sense if I didn't watch it.
What, did you watch it by yourself last time?
I watched it by I watched it by myself. It was at night. Yeah. It's not even that scary. Nothing happens in that's scary. I think it's the beginning bit is scary. Maybe I won't watch that again.
Okay, that's fine. It may be a short episode because it'll just be fresh in my mind. So at the end of the episode, we'd like to thank the Pixel Agora for our amazing logo art. If you would like it on some sort of merchandise, it's on our Redbubble store. We're also all over social media. Twitter's a different username, Escaping Podcasts.
Yeah.
And then Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, It's probably something else. Facebook is Escaping Purgatory podcast.
Yeah, thanks.
And,
yeah, I mean, we don't normally ask people to share stuff, but maybe if you could share like this episode so people know we're back, I think that'd be really nice of you to do. Just like a little extra, like, hi.
Ask.
Thanks for coming back, guys. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And we'll probably be on our every other week schedule for a little bit, just as we cultivate some episodes, and maybe we'll go back to every week, but we'll see what the future holds, because life happens.
Yeah, it certainly does. So this week, we got dragged from our apple pie lives back to this hellscape. So I guess we'll see you next time.
It's good to be back.
It is, yeah, we love it. No, we're really enjoying it. Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine. Bye.
Bye.